All right, guys, welcome back to Flyover State of Film. We just love being together, and we just wanted to talk a lot more. And bracket seems to be the easiest way to get these guys together. We really wanted to just settle one argument that we had in our DMs. We wanted to settle what is the dumbest argument right now on the internet. So we had Joe make a beautiful bracket with his beautiful photoshops for you guys to just fucking let it go and stop arguing these arguments. Uh, with me, as always, is Brian, Joe, and TJ. And how about we just get into this, guy? How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great, man. Yeah.
I just watched Sidekicks, so I'm pretty good.
I just watched Sidekicks, and I'm thinking of going the way of Jonathan Brandis.
Oh no! Why You're double dipping on the darkness, man. All right. So our bracket consists of. All right. So on the left corner we have Star Wars prequels ruined Star Wars. Last Jedi ruined Star Wars. On the bottom bracket we have Marvel fanboys versus DC fanboys. Top right corner, if I'm remembering correctly, we have Oscar snubs versus Oscar nominated snubs, which nominated that they didn't win. And on the bottom right, we got reboots versus they don't make anything original anymore. So I wanted to do, based on my screen, Brian is going to start off, and then we're going to do a snake to vote. How about we start off with, the topic that nobody talks about anymore, which is Star Wars. So, Brian, who do you think is the dumbest argument in the internet in terms of Star Wars prequels versus The Last Jedi?
Oh, this one's easy for me because I actually think The Last Jedi is a fucking great movie. So the people that act like The Last Jedi ruined Star Wars, that's just preposterous. Like, at the very least, they're competently made films. You can't even say that about the prequels. There's so much objectively wrong with the prequels that, like, the tiny nuggets you can pull out of it are not nearly good enough to save it. So, like, I feel like that whole idea that, first of all, you can't ruin another reason that the Last Jedi can't ruin Star Wars is because it was already ruined. Like, the shine is already off the melon or whatever, like Star Wars was perfect. Then prequels, we realized the Russian can be cut. And now we know they're just movies, and some are good and some are bad. So even if you don't like Last Jedi, you can't blame that. Like, the damage was done.
So we got one word for Last Jedi. What's up, Joe?
2 words. Broom Kid.
Yeah, he's
another 2 words. Jar Jar Banks. My point being, the prequels didn't ruin Star Wars. They just showed us Star Wars can be bad and that you don't need to know every detail of everything. The Last Jedi is a bold, fun movie, and it's more of a Star Wars film than 3 prequels spending about telling me how fucking, even though this is a prequel, telling me how Han Solo got his name and jacket. I'm going to put that in with the Star Wars prequels.
I accept it. I accept it.
Valid.
And ruin Star Wars. Nothing ruins a franchise. It just made it goes, oh, there's shitty stories to be told, and we told them in a bad ways. Last Jedi is a good movie, and everyone on the internet telling you it's not, it's a fucking idiot.
2 votes for Last Jedi. TJ, is this a sweep or are you going prequels?
Look, I'm not one to sit here and hate on the prequels. It's not my thing. What happens is with me is I go by performances. And Last Jedi, if you ask me, dominates when it comes to performances.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to do like a switch. I was like, oh, he's setting it up for a dump.
I'm not done.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not done
Sorry.
yet.
It's his ginger magic. You just got to let him go.
So when it comes to the things that happens in Last Jedi, I enjoy that movie a lot. but you also get a lot of the same things you got in The Force Awakens. The same Rey. What happened to Luke? Oh, you find out what happens with Luke, and then you're not so happy with what happens with Luke. Those type of things are those things that go against The Last Jedi, where I get where people are coming from. When it comes to the prequels, performance-wise, Natalie Portman, Hayden Christensen, all hollow. But the one thing that does make up for a lot of it is the Obi-Wan. I love what they did with the early Obi-Wan. You can't really go get those type of things like that character that came out with that. It's one of those things where it is hard to argue. But when I'm coming down to hands down, what ruined it probably is just Attack of the Clones, the second prequel. You guys thought I was going to switch it up. I'm not going to switch it up. Last Jedi, there's nothing wrong with that movie. I try to think there was something wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. So I'm going to stay. The Last Jedi stays. Didn't ruin it at all.
No,
not whatsoever. I think what Colin Trevorrow did with the movie was
Ryan Johnson. Colin Trevorrow is the guy who got fired off of. He didn't get to make his Star Wars. Yeah, but Ryan Johnson. I say I love Last Jedi, and I am not a Ryan Johnson fan. Not a big.
I love Moon.
That's not the same guy.
Duncan Jones.
Get out of my podcast.
That's Duncan Jones.
You don't belong here. You goddamn hayseed.
So that's a sweep for the dumbest argument being The Last Jedi ruined Star Wars.
Yeah,
so that moves on. That moves on to the next section of the bracket. Now we're moving on to Oscar snubs versus Oscar nominees that didn't win. I'll start off.
We're breaking down the two types of snubs here.
Yes. Yeah. So I'll start off that one. We're doing a snake. So I don't know if I have a website called whyIlovemovies.com where you can go and watch all the reviews that I've done. And I didn't scratch the surface last year, and I really tried. I really tried, and I watched 147 movies, and I reviewed 138. And you're gonna sit there and bitch and moan that your movie didn't fall into the 5 slots. 5 slots. That's all they got. 5 best actors, 5 best actresses, and so on and so forth. And you're gonna bitch and moan that you're the one movie you went to with Paul Rubin and jacked off in the movie theater to didn't get nominated. I think it's just ridiculous. But the most ridiculous is complaining when your movie actually got nominated and didn't win. At least it got nominated. At least it got that recognition, and at least it's
top 5 or the top 10.
Yeah, you made. Yeah. That's why I think. Let me vote, and you guys can just. I think
to go off on this.
I think the most dumbest argument is getting nominated, and bitching and moaning that you didn't win. At least you cracked that top 5. If you're bitching and moaning that your movie got that money boost because everybody tries to, except Brian because he's too fucking cool. Everybody tries to watch Oscar-nominated movies. And they re-release them into the theater. So I think that's the dumbest one. Nominated and not winning.
TJ. Go for it, Joe.
No, TJ then Joe.
It's TJ's turn.
No, I was gonna say I think the difference is the opposite. I think that getting the movie that you want snubbed is the better argument. Because what happens is you have your best team. Your best team doesn't get picked or doesn't make the fucking playoffs, doesn't make Super Bowl, so you go to the next best team. That's what happens when you do the Oscar thing that you wanted snubbing, not winning. The one that you want to win and getting snubbed is the heart. That's the one you can argue the most for me. Because if sure, maybe you have something that gets picked and it doesn't win at all. But if you don't get picked at all and you think that's what you wanted to happen, wanted to win and doesn't get picked, I feel like that's where you have the most pull to argue that because
you're like more invested. Yeah,
you're more invested in that part of it. Like there's no reason for you to get your thing picked.
Sometimes the ones up for the Oscars you don't even give a shit about. So
exactly. If you make it into the thing and if it doesn't make it, that's your fault to argue, but you don't have any back in that argument because your thing made it into the Oscars. If something you love doesn't make it to the Oscars, that's where you have the heart to argue.
So which one are you picking? That's the dumbest?
The Oscar snubs right off the bat, not Oscar snubs that don't win.
All right, so 1-1, Joe. What's up?
The definition of a snub is to rebuff, ignore, and spurn insanity.
Boy.
The Oscar award that gets snubbed when you're nominated is not a snub. And I mean nominated. Like snubs, we throw that word around so fucking loosely. Like you said before, you said, "Oh, I saw 3 movies this year. It's a snub. He was so good. You didn't see everything." Oh, wait, it got a string of nominations and it didn't get the one category you wanted. It's a snub. Fuck you. It's not a snub. It got its recognition. It might win those awards. Like, I get what TJ's saying, but at the same time, having those arguments, though, when you are rooting for them, still are annoying when you see them not win. Like, an award snub, like a true snub, happen very rarely. Like, a legit snub of an Oscar is the whole film Prisoners. To me, that is the biggest snub of all categories in like Oscar history in recent years. No one talks about that, but that movie is phenomenal. And like this year, like, oh, Black Panther didn't get a Best Director. There's 5 slots. That movie has an achievement by getting a fucking Best Picture nomination. Or like, and I'm just using that.
Sorry to bother you, didn't get nominated for anything.
Exactly.
So,
sorry to bother you should have got Best Original Screenplay.
TJ, you saw Blind Spotting, right? Preach Blind Spotting.
The best movie.
Like, to me, to complain about award snub losers, is ridiculous. And I don't mean one more thought, and I don't mean something like a true upset where it's like when The Social Network didn't win and the fucking King's Speech won. Like, that's not a snub, that's a surprise. That's
an upset. That's a different thing.
It's an upset. We take upsets as snubs today. Snubs is being completely ignored, and when you're nominated, especially more than in one category, you're not ignored.
So 2-1, Brian, you're the decider or tire.
Yeah, I've taken it all in because I was definitely like thinking about how what Yusuf was saying about like, getting nominated and then not winning, like that's the biggest thing. And I was trying to figure out where to fall on this. And I think where I land is like, you can get nominated, you can even win, and it doesn't matter. People won't remember you. But you could be a great movie and never get nominated and never get any attention and be what lives on. And I think the one thing you can say that's good about nominations that I think maybe like just getting nominated in general is because you might, like you said, those movies get a boost and more eyes on them. So I don't think it really matters at all. The snub, once you're like the person who gets quote unquote snubbed for the actual award, I don't think matters. I think the person who gets snubbed for the nom, that's the one, because like they were saying, that's where the heart is. That's the one you really care about. That's the one that this is its big chance to maybe get a few more people to see it, win, lose, or draw. So that's where I land on it too.
So the dumbest one is snub losers.
Yep.
All
right. So snub losers moves on. Brian, who do you think is the worst internet argument? And this is a little bit more broad. It's not such a straightforward argument in terms of Star Wars and the Oscar snubs. So we're picking what is the worst arguers, the Marvel fanboys or the DC fanboys?
Okay, so we're kind of basing this on like the validity of their points, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I think like they both have their annoying qualities, and I'm definitely. Anybody who's watched anything with me know I fall more to the Marvel side of things. I just think they make a better quality movie. I'm a shill, whatever. But I think the worst crime that they have is kind of over praising mediocrity. But on the DC side, it's like not only the denial of objective fact, but then the vitriol with which they attack you while they deny that objective fact, that it makes them like far and away worse in general. Like, I can tweet the most banal thing about a DC movie, and I am bound to get a few hits.
Wait, can I add? You tweeted the most banal thing about Marvel, and you fucking trended for like 20 weeks.
Yeah.
That's fair. That is fair. That's true. But a lot of those people liked what I said. A lot of those were Marvel fans who enjoyed that little rib. You know what I mean? There were some crackpots. Make no mistake. But overall, I've seen,
big.
No.
I'm saying not as big. But I tweeted out the thing about John Cho wanting to be Batman, and I got so many people being like. And not as many tweets, but like a lot of like tweets, like retweets or quote tweets being like, no, man, no, just no.
He doesn't have the butt chin.
It was just funny because it was like, it compares to the point of like the validity of like, not Batman can't be Asian. No one tweeted that exactly, but that's what you mean when you said no.
Yeah. So Joe,
and my thing is, like I said, like just being objective about like issues with filmmaking and storytelling and things like that. Like, I can love the Alien movies, but still like step back and look at them and recognize problems and understand issues. But like there's like a certain sect of the DC fandom that is totally incapable of that. They refuse to even budge even an instant, no matter what your point, no matter what, even when you're agreeing with them to some extent, it's like not good enough. No. You have to be a full on, or just the like accusation of you just don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you're not a real fan. That sort of shit. The dismissal. So, like I said, they're all bad. And honestly, I would put Edgar Wright fans on this list if I could. Don't get me started, boy.
Wait,
talk about a sensitive crybaby fan base. Holy shit.
No, fuck you.
Well, you just didn't understand his script.
Wait. We're already adding way too much fire to the internet. Don't add Edgar Wright to it. So you're voting DC. What's your argument, Joe?
Well,
or you can just agree straight up.
No, I agree with Brian on this. Like, fully. Like the DC fans are just so. It's their sensitivity. It's there. I think they were spoiled by 2.5 really good movies with the Dark Knight trilogy, and they just held. And I like Dark Knight Rises. It's just not the same quality. But they just held on to like nothing, and they still hold that. And anything, it's like if you're like like I like Man of Steel. I think Man of Steel is a good movie, but to a fucking like a DC fan, they'll go to the death to tell me it's not only a good movie, that it's the best movie ever made. And then they'll also try to tell me that Justice League is great and Batman vs. Superman. No. I'm not going to sit there and watch the director's cut, the cut they didn't want to put out there. That movie is fucking trash.
All right.
So, dude, Joe, the director's cut's even worse. It's so bad.
No. Actually, save it because.
I want to make a comparison though between DC and Marvel though, because I am voting DC, but DC is like, remember in Get Out how it's like the bad guys are the ones who are like secretly racist of like the like, yeah, I voted for Obama,
but they're like, overly outwardly woke.
Yeah, that's Marvel, and DC's just like yeah, I voted for Trump. I'm still gonna go with DC, but like Marvel's that like overly woke, but they're actually like rooted in the worst too. Like none of them are good. Like just like
they're patting themselves on the back if they still haven't barely managed to get a movie out with a female lead out in like 10 years.
Joe,
so that's
Joe, this is I don't want it to sound like a backhanded compliment, but I think that's the best thing you've ever said in this podcast. That's like so good. That was so good.
It's art.
That was so fucking good. All right, TJ, we have the racist and the inwardly racist. Where are you going?
Marvel fans are the fucking worst. Marvel fans are the bully in the 90s movies, dude. Because they're fucking so
no wonder I connect so strongly
they're
with
so big. They have all the good shit. They got the good girlfriend.
Yeah.
They're fucking throwing the state championship touchdown. And they're fucking slinging it around like nobody cares. Marvel fans are the fucking worst. Look. I love both comic-wise. I'm split right down the middle. Even I kind of lean toward DC. I'm not one of those people who don't know that Marvel makes better films at the time. But when it comes to fucking fans who try to shove the Dark World and fucking Iron Man 3 and Iron Man 2 and fucking Incredible Hulk and all these movies down my throat,
the Dark World is better
has
than Man of
good
Steel.
movies because it has so many. All right, DC's only released DCEU. If we're going that way, I'm not talking
actually. It's
DC.
not that. It's not DC.
If you want to go DC with Dark Knight, hey, guess what? Batman Begins and Dark Knight almost demolishes 95% of Marvel's fucking films.
Yeah, and that's why for the first 10 Marvel films, I was like, The Dark Knight's better than all of these.
That's fine.
But guess what?
I think Batman
People
Begins is a
fucking
better movie than
age.
Dark Knight, but that's just me. Now, if you're going into like intricacies of being like MCU, DCEU, it's gotta be that. Yo, Marvel fans fucking suck all around because you guys are so spoiled. I love the films just as much as you guys do. Give these DC fans a goddamn break for once, man. They're just getting into it. They're just.
Hey, I said I liked Aquaman.
Hey, you guys voted. You guys voted. Let TJ.
So
where are you gonna vote?
yelling
I'm in
He's yelling
suspense
at me.
here. I'm in suspense.
I'm actually glad. I thought we were going a little easy on Marvel fans because I actually
No,
do
I
agree
love
with
it.
TJ's
I love
right.
it.
Like
I agree with TJ.
I have to
too,
agree.
a lot of it,
dude,
too,
they are
so.
so hardcore, man. If I'm like, yo, the Iron Man 3 and this thing sucks, they'll be like, what about this movie? I'm like, okay, that's not what I said. I didn't say BVS versus Iron Man 3. What I said was Iron Man 3. As soon as you mention something Marvel fans, they throw DC movies in your face. It could be Spawn's, Vertigo, IDW, whatever the DC had attachment to that. They throw that in your face. You're like, wait, I had nothing to do with that. That's how bad Marvel fans are. They throw the most ridiculous things in your face when it comes to it because they're so spoiled. They're the beefed up bullies of the 90s. So for me, Marvel fans to me are 20 times worse than DC fans because DC fans are just getting into it because you didn't have that when Dark Knight came out. Now you have it with Aquaman and Wonder Woman and all those movies. So yes, Marvel fans are so much worse than DC fans.
Right. I honestly did not think I was gonna get to vote in this round.
Yeah.
And I agree so much with like Joe's comment was brilliant in terms of the Marvel I think. All right, so let me phrase it this way. Joe made the best argument for Marvel, yet he voted for DC. I prefer an outwardly racist person than somebody that's racist and is hiding it. That's why I fucking hate so much the Marvel fanboys. Because I love Marvel. I honestly do. But they fail to recognize when shit smells like shit. They praise every single installment. There's been 17 installments, and each installment is supposedly better than the last one. Oh my God. All right. This is the best one. No. This is the best Iron Man.
Can you imagine there's people out there that think Doctor Strange is the best one?
Oh, that movie's awful.
Every fucking installment is the best one. So I put this up here. But I also like one of the arguments that I fucking hate about DC is that they've signed petitions, and anybody that signs a petition, you should go run off a cliff if you've ever signed a petition for Rotten Tomatoes or to get a director's cut. So
that's how life works, though. If I sign a petition, they'll just release the Snyder Cut.
It's up there, and I feel like I want to push DC forward because I want to argue the petitions of DC versus the petitions of Last Jedi. But I really wanted to get that point across that Marvel fanboys, you fucking suck as well.
They suck too.
Don't think you're getting off.
Everybody sucks. And also Edgar Wright fanboys, you suck too.
I love Edgar Wright, but yeah.
Yusuf, my point was to make it so both sound like shit.
No. Yes, that was brilliant. I'm telling you. I know I'm very sarcastic in this podcast, and I didn't want it to sound like a backhanded compliment. That was fucking genius. All right, so DC's moving on, and it's facing off against Last Jedi. So we need to settle another one so we can have our final four. We now have Reboots versus Nothing is Original Anymore, and I'll start off since we're doing the snake, and I'm going to do it pretty quickly. I feel like the argument of there's nothing original is the stupidest thing in the world. There's nothing original playing in the cinema next to you that you recognize the person in the poster. That's why I fucking feel like it's stupid as hell. Yes, there's nothing original with fucking Tom Cruise because Tom Cruise is doing only Mission Impossible movies or big blockbuster movies. There's nothing original with Tony because he's only Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. Sorry. Yes, if you only follow
the world I want to live in.
Yeah, if you only follow big cinema, yes, you can make the argument that there's nothing original. But this year,
I think that goes for the other one too. If you only follow big cinema, then you make the argument there's too many reboots. When really reboots make up like what 10% of movies.
Can I help your argument out though? Is by using those guys like your Tom Cruises and your Robert Downey Jr.'s though, those guys did try to make original stuff and people just didn't go see it. So they said, fine, go fuck yourself. I'm going to keep giving you what you want.
I mean, yeah, fine, but take a
snake's tail.
No, but that's a fair argument. But take a Jake Gyllenhaal, for example. This year he's in Spider-Man Far Away From Home, but he also did 3 independent movies this year. So he knows that his money is in the big cinema.
Yes, that famous movie Spider-Man. Hey, where's my home? Have you guys seen it? Where am I home at?
I'm actually a good guy, but everybody knows I'm a bad guy. Yeah, but I'm gonna vote for original. There's no longer originality in Hollywood because yes, there is A Star Is Born, which is a reboot. Yes, Lion King is coming out. Yes, Dumbo is coming out. Yes, Toy Story 4, even though it's a sequel, it feels like a reboot because they're adding a lore to them, like new toys to it. It feels like a weird sequel. But I'm gonna say, just for the fact that the favorite Blind Spotting and Sorry to Bother You exists in this world, you can't say that there's nothing original. So I'm gonna say that one. TJ.
So we're arguing what is the worst.
Yeah, what is the dumbest argument to make?
The reboot people. Anyone who says that. So we're saying that Disney animated movies are included in reboots and remakes, correct?
Yeah.
Sure.
Hey, let it fucking happen. All right? God damn y'all. First off, it's a cartoon made at some point in time. It does not matter if you get a live action thing. You know how many live action Pinocchios there were after the one animated one? Like 3. And guess what? No one gave a shit. So
somebody
also,
fact check that. Fact check.
Go ahead. Fact check it all you want.
I ain't fact check. There's probably more than 3.
I know there's a
and no one's commenting on this video.
Regardless, if you were like, they're making too many reboots and remakes. Hey, who gives a shit? If it's a different take, let it fucking happen. Who are you to tell the people? There's tons of original stuff. That argument kind of like falls null to me because every movie that doesn't have a big blockbuster name to it is an original fucking thing to me. Unless I found out it's a book 5 minutes later, Bird Box, blah, 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 blah. Those type of things. Like, if it's nothing like that, give me the reboots, give me the remakes. I like those fucking things. Stop arguing about they shouldn't do remakes and reboots. Hey, it's going to be fucking...
Well, so happens. TJ, then tell me about Child's Play.
It's 1-1. Oh, no.
That doesn't count. Because guess what?
Why?
It's technically an original because it's Buddy, and the fucking story has nothing to do with the story. Do that. I don't have to watch it. I can hate on it all I want. But my argument is, stop. Don't fucking be like, you can't do it. They can do it all they want, but I'm going to fucking hate on it. I can do that, right? I guess
free to hate on it, but it's dumb to like argue it.
Yeah.
They're just gonna come and go. Just let them. I have to say, I'll bandwagon jump right now, and I'll just get in on TJ. And that's my point too. I think all the hate on remakes is silly, and the point I agree that I think that there's not anything original is stupid too. But I think there's justification in that argument in that. Because there's so many remakes and because there's so many sequels, there's not as much room for original shit to get attention. And so that puts some validity on that argument and takes away from it being stupid. So to me, the whole thing with reboots, like, how many reboots have there been now? How are people not over this yet? They come out. If they're good, then you have a good new movie to enjoy. And if they're bad, you just fucking forget it and move on. Nobody cares about the Total Recall remake. Nobody cares about the Point Break remake. Nobody cares. No, they just came and went. You just have the movie you like. But then you got somebody like me who never bothered to see Murder on the Orient Express. And then the new one comes out and it's got a great cast and it's got a strong director. Hey, I'm going to check that shit out. And now I got a movie I can enjoy. Or the new Magnificent Seven comes out and I don't have any connection to the old Western. I've seen Seven Samurai, but I don't have any connection to the Western. And this is a fun shoot 'em up with a good cast. Boom, I got a movie I can enjoy. So I don't see anything wrong with that.
Well said.
All right, Joe, 2-1.
So I think the argument that people say, though, that they don't make original stuff is just blatantly not true. Original stuff comes out all the time. You just don't go to see it.
Yeah.
Or when you do, and by original, I don't mean like it's totally new. It's like, oh, I just haven't maybe seen this story this way. This year, Blockers came out, right? A comedy, a teen sex comedy, but it was an original take on the teen sex comedy. It gave a different perspective. It falls in line of original stuff. It's just a different way of looking at it.
Game Night.
Game Night is another one of the comedies. Reboots are going to come and go, and like I have no problem with reboots. Like I was fucking with the Child's Play. I don't want it to happen, but it's going to happen. Whatever. Like the Nightmare on Elm Street.
Watch it or you don't. They're kind of harmless. Like that's my thing too.
They're going to come out, and if they're good, like hopefully if they're good, they'll make money, and hopefully if they're bad and they're actually shit, they won't make money. So then we won't get more. Like a good like reboot kind of was Friday the 13th. And I don't know how that never got a sequel. Like
one of the better horror remakes or horror reboots, at least, like compared to Friday 13th or Dead Nightmare. I mean,
Dead Nightmares just doesn't exist.
See, but you're free to do that. That's the glory of the remake.
We've mentioned so many times on the main show, like Dawn of the Dead is a great remake. Fuck. Wizard of Oz, an original film, is a remake. You know
what we could throw in here that we could complain about is rebootquels that undo continuity that you used to like fucking Halloween. Like they come out and they like force. They're not a remake. They could have just done a remake like Rob Zombie. At least Rob Zombie had the respect to leave us with the Halloween we enjoyed and do his own shit. They had to come back and fuck up what we liked and make a new Halloween that retroactively fucks up the old one.
That's a legit argument. That's not a stupid argument.
Brian, here's the sad truth with that one. We're just gonna get more fucking franchise gonna do that because the Halloween was groundbreaking.
I guarantee you, Alien's gonna do it. They're gonna do it. They're gonna make that sequel to Aliens, and it's gonna suck ass.
So Joe, where you're landing?
So I'm landing on to argue that. To complain about they don't make original stuff anymore.
We're tied. We're
tied up.
Flip a coin.
All right, who's calling in the air? I got the coin right here.
I call it.
Wait. I kind of landed on both.
Let's just
let this coin do its job.
So let the coin
you're too cowardly to make a decision.
All right, call in the air. You said
tail.
Heads.
All right, reboots is the dumbest argument.
And that's also a really dumb argument.
I agree. Dude, we designed this bracket together and we all agree.
Yeah.
All of them are dumb as shit.
Everything we've talked about is fucking stupid.
All right, so the final...
You know what was an awful time? The Indiana Jones ruined my childhood after that awful movie. Like, it was just a bad movie, guys. Like, it's fine.
I watched a great video. I was laughing, and I was because that news about Ghostbusters broke. If you watched our last episode, they're going to do a teen version of Ghostbusters, and I think it was maybe. I think it was maybe. Did they? I haven't even seen. But I think it was like Movie Bob or somebody who was saying like. People would hate this if this had come out before the women Ghostbusters. They would have shit all over this, but they used up all their hate and all their vitriol, so now they can't come out against this too because they kind of won. So you can't come out after you won and then be like, no, we also hate this. Yeah. So they kind of painted themselves into a corner where they have to accept this. It's kind of funny.
They're gonna accept it. The trailer's gonna come out and they're gonna go, oh, Jason Reitman made some good movies.
All right, so we have like the final four should go pretty quickly because we've already expressed our
we've hit our main points here.
We've hit our main points. So we have The Last Jedi ruined Star Wars versus DC fanboys, and we have Oscar nominees that didn't win, aka nominee snubs versus reboots ruined everything. So Brian, start us off with. Last Jedi versus DC fanboys. The petitioners.
Yeah, I think I'm going to fall on the side of the Last Jedi fanboys and the Last Jedi petitioners and the Last Jedi haters are actually worse because much like you were talking about with Marvel, they had it so good for so long that like the least little bit of disappointment they can't handle it. They they lose their shit. Whereas DC fans will eat a fucking plate of shit twice a year and smile and tell you how fucking good it is. You know what I mean? Like, so I got to give it up for that. And like Last Jedi, you at least got a competently made movie. Imagine when you sat down to watch BVS and you had to reconcile that and come out and pretend you like that shit. That is hard. Like, those people deserve our respect. They work. Their fandom is a job. I think the Last Jedi are mixing in the worst parts of the Marvel and DC fandom, and that's why they're so goddamn toxic.
Remember when Jesse Eisenberg put a piece of Jolly Rancher in someone's mouth in a DC movie?
That's like an intense moment in that movie.
Yeah.
They gave her iced tea.
I'm going with he served someone piss. I'm going with I'm going with Brian. I'm going with The Last Jedi. That's the stupidest fucking argument on the internet.
All right, TJ, are you gonna sweep it?
Guys, Last Jedi is a really, really good fucking movie. For any of you fucking DC fanboys have a reason to argue at some points and give you shit. Last Jedi fans do not. Y'all are
haters, really. The Last Jedi fans are fine.
Yeah, you guys suck. Some with them, Last Jedi fans, you guys suck. So
sweet. Last Jedi.
Easy.
All right, Last Jedi. I haven't been able to talk about Last Jedi, so we'll live in the finals.
You want
to go first next time?
No. I'm good. I'm saying I'm happy that
I go first in the finals here.
I'm happy that I haven't
I haven't gone first once, so.
Well, you should go first next then, I guess.
No, we're moving on to Last Jedi is in the finals. I'm predicting. It's in the Force Senate that the Last Jedi is going to win. But next round we have reboots versus nominees are snubbed. You know what? Just to stay topical. I mean, okay. So since I voted for original and it didn't win. I feel like reboots, the main reboot argument, which is, I think it is logically the dumbest argument in the world, is that they say that the reboots ruin the original as if the original ceases to exist. As if you can't go watch that one instead of the reboot. So I think just by that logical flaw that they ruined your childhood, or you can't show that fucking movie to your kids anymore. Like you can only watch the female Ghostbusters. You can't watch Bill Murray fucking killing it.
That's how life works.
It's so fucking stupid. So I'm gonna vote Reboots.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right to me, because I think the other side of that, if you're talking about the fucking thing with the nominations or whatever, it's like there's justifiable disappointment there.
Yeah.
So I can understand that argument. Like, you know, there's people who are way more invested in it. I think we're like stepping on the line of just the fact that we think it's dumb and we don't give a fuck compared to is it an actually stupid thing to get upset about. That's kind of like a little more what do you call it, like personal opinion, I guess, you know. So I think I would definitely fall on Reboots just because I think it's the stronger of the two.
I'm there too.
TJ, sweep it.
Oh no, it's a clean sweep.
Clean sweep. So we got the finals is set. And if
two stupidest arguments on the internet.
So if
Last Jedi.
If you're angry at this bracket right now so far, and if something is itching in your back, fucking scratch it and let it be known that you're a fucking dumbass. If you've wasted your breath and time on these arguments, we got on the left side, The Last Jedi ruined Star Wars. And on the right side, reboots are ruining the originals. So, Brian, start us off. What is the dumbest argument?
No, I'm going to defer to Joe because Joe hasn't got to go first. I want to hear Joe, and then I want to hear you, Seth, because you didn't get to talk about The Last Jedi either.
All right.
Let's start with Joe.
Oh, I like that. Good job, bro.
This is tough, but I'm gonna go with. I think people arguing about The Last Jedi ruined Star Wars is so much dumber. It's one movie. It's one movie that was really good, really fucking good. It just didn't do what you wanted. It gave you actually something that was original, that was original stuff in a movie, and it let us have that. And it's a good movie, and the argument and the validity and hatred towards it made no sense. And no one's ever given me a good argument why The Last Jedi was why it ruined Star Wars. Yeah, I've heard good arguments.
All their arguments always have to do with I wanted to see, like you said. Like no one can give you an argument that doesn't focus around something they were disappointed in because they wanted something else to happen.
Exactly,
and that's not anybody's fault but your own. Like you have to reconcile that with your own. You know, I
had like everyone else. I had predictions about The Last Jedi going into it, and they weren't answered. But whatever. I've heard good arguments sometimes of like this reboot was bad and it didn't. And it diminished I think less of the other thing. And my main example in my life is Dumb and Dumber 2. Like it's a sequel, but they were trying to bring it back. And I love Dumb and Dumber. It's not diminished, but watching Dumb and Dumber 2 made me go, oh God, this is why they think this fucking movie was funny. Because it wasn't. That is I hate that fucking movie. But picking The Last Jedi, I think it's a stupid argument. I think it's one of the stupidest arguments to come out on the internet in some time.
All right, so we got one for Last Jedi, and this is the first time I'm going to add fuel to the fire of The Last Jedi. I can see an argument. I can honestly see an argument in terms of you arguing certain sections of the movie didn't work. Because certain sections of the movie didn't work. The plan of Oscar Isaac didn't work at all. The section of finding the masturbator Benicio del Toro didn't
Rose
work.
and Finn's little adventure.
There's a lot of things.
That makes the movie too long. I don't think it's bad, but I argue that it just fucks up the pacing and it makes the movie feel like it has 4 acts. Like
it's a clear-cut situation and where Rian Johnson was force-fed a character that became popular and Finn, and he had to write something for him, even though he didn't want to write anything for him. So I can see those arguments full-fledged, but the reason why it's a stupid argument is because what Joe, Brian, and TJ has said so far is that people came into the movie with a checklist, And if you come into a movie with a checklist, it's your own fucking fault that you're disappointed that everybody didn't hit your checklist. And it's a double-edged sword because if the movie hit all the checklists, you're gonna call it predictable. You're gonna call it it did everything that you expected. So it's not a good movie at all because I called it. Like I should be a Hollywood writer because I fucking predicted everything. And that's the same argument that has The Force Awakens. The Force Awakens is a good movie. It's not a great movie. It's not a fantastic movie, but it reset the universe. Like we had 3 shitty movies and they said, we're just going to reboot it with the same beats with a slight variation. And people were like, oh, it's good, but it's more of the same shit. And then Last Jedi comes around and just takes a dump on everything. Just goes like, I don't give a fuck about the formula. I don't give a fuck about the things. And everybody's like, this is not Star Wars. What the fuck happened here? Yeah. And I would just want to throw this into the internet. I want to ask this a couple of questions, and it's going to be the same center. Who are the parents of Yoda? Who are the parents of Qui-Gon Jinn? Who are the parents of Obi-Wan Kenobi? Who are them? They don't matter. So why the fuck do we care so much about Rey's parents? The Last Jedi is the dumbest argument.
Love it.
Thank you.
What do you want to roll next?
I mean, I think I do think that reboots, I don't want Jedi to just walk over this one, and because I do think the hate against reboots has been around longer. It's something that even I was guilty of in the past, and it took me a long time to get over it. And I think it's been a thing that has like kind of plagued us of just like the same complaints over and over and over again. But I think what it comes down to when I'm thinking about putting these up against each other, trying to come up with like, what's one last point? What's one last thing that we haven't already thought of? I haven't already talked about. It's the idea that like, if the reboots can be so easily left behind and so easily forgotten, the toxicity around The Last Jedi has done active damage to the Star Wars fan base and the Star Wars brand. And there are reboots that have equally been toxic like this. We talked about the Ghostbusters reboot, obviously was one. But that's really like an outsider for the most part. People either, like we said, like them and then they exist, or they just forget about them. There isn't that kind of hate. But whereas Last Jedi has created like a division in the fandom in a way that we hadn't seen from Star Wars, other than like prequel defenders would be like the only close thing that I can kind of think of that was even close to that divisive. So I think on that alone, not only is it a stupid argument, but it's actively bad for fandom. So,
TA, do you agree?
No, it's a clean sweep on that, right?
I mean, but you got a point to make. But
well, my whole thing was going to be, as Brian was making that point, I'm thinking about like remakes and reboots, and out of the bajillion that has happened, there's only 2 that I can only think in my head that we've already mentioned over times, like Zack Snyder's fucking Dawn of the Dead, and maybe Muschietti's It remake, like those type of things.
I mean, there's some good ones. Let Me In.
Yeah,
I think it's a really good one.
Games.
The Evil Dead.
Funny Games.
Funny Games. The new Planet of the Apes trilogy is one I'm always talking about. Like
now, there's
really good remakes out there.
Those are good movies.
And that's the thing. The good ones get to move on, and the other ones you don't even think about.
Exactly. So, like, I was going to say, I'm going to go reboots and remakes because that argument's stupid. But that doesn't make sense because you know what makes 100% sense? The Last Jedi is a good movie. So all you guys arguing that for like Brian said, no one's made a direct case of why this movie's bad. Wait, you don't get Rey's parents? Stupid argument because you didn't get all those characters that he listed, Qui-Gon. You get any of those parents. So why are you so invested in Rey's parents? So like,
you know what's a really good example?
Well, they did something different, and then they chose to complain like, well, what they did different wasn't different enough. It was lazy. It was just they just tried. They didn't even put any thought into the things they did different. It's like, so you're just basically what you're telling me when you make that argument is nothing would have made you happy.
Exactly.
You know what's really
unless somebody took your specific notes, nothing would have made you happy.
You know, it's a really good example of like the expectation of this is almost every time you talk to someone who's like, yeah, I just turned this movie on. I didn't know what it was, like in general. And I liked it. And it could be like something you're like, that was a fucking piece of trash. Like something you look like, I'm sorry, like TJ, like The Dark Knight Rises, right? So you didn't like it for whatever reason, didn't live up to it.
I'm sure lots of people have come to him and been like, hey, I love the new Batman movie.
Yeah. And I'm sure there was someone who was like, it was on TNT and they were like, huh, Batman, I love Batman. Watching like, that was great. No expectation, no nothing. Every time I don't see a movie, a trailer, and know nothing about it, I like it so much more. And I think that's just what happened with the Last Jedi. We had shows dedicated to breaking down every theory out there for 2 years leading up to it.
Yep.
And also, those fans are the worst.
Yep.
Last Jedi, hands down. There's nothing, no ifs, ands, or buts. You get one movie, and the one movie you're making this giant pull to this franchise has been going strong for so many years, even with the prequels. Even in a world where let's just pretend that The Last Jedi is the worst Star Wars movie. Even if that were true, it would still be better than like a lot of really terrible movies, and it wouldn't be, even if it was the very, very worst, it wouldn't be all that bad. And your complaints are not Warcraft. Like the balance, like the balance of how much you're bitching compared to how bad you think it actually is. Yeah. You're totally off kilter here. Yeah.
All right, so we're announcing it. It's official. Let it be known. If you're the owner of the Twitter account that is trying to remake The Last Jedi, you can add us. Let it be known you're a fucking dumbass for arguing that The Last Jedi ruined Star Wars. That is the worst argument on the internet right now. But I think we should make
this like an annual thing, though. We should come back to this every year and try to like look at what the new stupid argument is.
But don't get it twisted. If you make the bracket, you're a dumbass as well.
Yep.
Just that The Last Jedi is the dumbest of the dumbest.
Yeah, all of these things we talked about are garbage opinions to have. So
yes, I agree. So that said, this was fun. I'm glad we all vented. Who is Ray's parents? I think Brian is Ray's parents. Brian, where can the people find you?
That's true. I was born a long, long time ago in a galaxy far away, so I could make the cut. And I'm a drunkard who sold my child for money.
There you go.
You can find me on Twitter at Hercules. You can find the DVD Bunker on wherever you look for podcasts. You can also find our regular episodes of Flyover State of Film on the TJ's YouTube channel or out in the ether, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search for us. You'll find us.
What's up, Joe?
You can find me, as always, on the DVD Bunker and just on Twitter, probably being an asshole on Trending01.
Watch out, you get called out. There's some Twitter tough guys out there.
Oh, yeah, real tough guys out there not getting some jakes.
Throwing that shade. TJ, what's up?
You guys can find me at TJ Dex on Twitter. You're on Movie Squad now. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Anchor, whatever your podcast listening things are. DVD Bunker coming out at some point with Zodi, a certain movie.
Yeah.
With Brian.
Oh, tease. A
little
movie that stars Zoe Deschanel.
Yeah. Other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed this bracket and check out the last episode of Flyover State of Film where we talk sidekicks, Batman, and a whole bunch of other shit.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us at Why I Love Movies, whyIlovemovies.com. And see you next time with another bracket. Bye-bye.